Welcome. I'm glad to see you all here. Santa Cruz Mountains, someone has described as a marriage of fog and sun. And I think that's probably a really good description of it. I think throughout the morning you'll be hearing references to the fog and the sun and the interaction of the two and the different subregions. The history of grape growing, as many of you know, in the Santa Cruz Mountains goes back to the 1860s with the Jarvis brothers. They planted vineyards up in the Vine Hill area. Apparently they had as many as 2,000 acres up there under cultivation. That really started the Santa Cruz Mountains on its way. And then by the late 1800s, there were roughly about 40 wineries in the Santa Cruz Mountains. Historical figures such as Martin Ray and Paul Masson got their start in the Santa Cruz Mountains. In terms of the AVA in the Santa Cruz Mountains, it actually was approved in 1981. It was the first mountain American Viticultural Area, or AVA, in the U.S. And it was the first that was really defined by its geophysical boundaries, by altitude and climatic factors. The other AVAs were really just geographic areas like counties. The AVA is quite large. It starts in the mountains north of Saratoga. It runs all the way down to the Corralitos area in the foothills just above Watsonville. So it's about 60 miles long. The AVA has a very irregular boundary, but basically on the western side of the mountains, it starts at about 400 feet. On the eastern side, the warmer side, it starts between 600 and 800 feet, depending upon where you are. This area has a total of almost 500,000 acres. About 1,500 are planted. And in fact, of course, in the 1800s, there were more total acres than that planted. Prohibition and various other things over the years really cut down on the grape growing, but over the last decade or so, it's had a real resurgence in the Santa Cruz Mountains. When we started our winery, we planted our vineyards in 1996. We were the only winery in the Corralitos area at that time, and some of the few vineyards. Now, there are quite a few vineyards, and we have now 4 wineries with a fifth on the way. All of this in a little over 10 years. We have in the Santa Cruz Mountains about 75 Pinot Noir vineyards and roughly about 700 acres. Because of the geographic diversity and the 6 subregions that we'll talk about today, you just get some incredible variety, incredible Pinot Noirs coming out of the mountains because the terroir, the climate are really kind of perfect for Pinot Noir.